April 10th, 2024 Tree and Stormwater Advisory Board meeting. First item on the agenda is a call to order. And we'll move on to approval of minutes. This is from October 11th of 2023, since Snowmageddon got in the way of our previous one. So I guess all in favor of approval of minutes from October 11th, 2023.
Aye.
Well, yeah, I'll second.
Very good. Minutes approved. Then we'll go to next item is public comment. And nobody here with us. Anything on the emails or anything, Guy?
No.
Nothing.
No.
All quiet on the ash tree front so far.
Yeah.
Until
occasionally I'll have somebody stop and want to talk about it, but it's been getting less and less.
Okay.
I think people are starting to get a little educated of what's happening.
Very good. Next item, tree reports. So we'll go back to you, Guy, on tree reports.
All right. So I just want to that should have been down in stormwater report. It doesn't belong in the tree.
Okay.
Just to let you know. So Arbor Day, Tree City USA for 2023. We met all the requirements. We were awarded that. So this is the 28th consecutive year of being a Tree City USA. Along with that, we just received the Mid-American Trees Please Grant for 2024. It's just $1,000. However, it's going to help pay for replacement of ash trees at Penn Meadows Park. Brian, do you have any updates on ash tree removal since we just brought that up?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy to report we don't have anything scheduled for takedown right now. So we're holding strong with our current ash trees. Go along with the grant there, we have purchased some, or we're in the process of purchasing some plant material with trees with Bailey's Nurseries. So we got kind of those trees coming in, which will kind of satisfy some of the requirements. But yeah, as far as ash trees, we're holding strong, pretty good for now. I imagine that we might have a couple more this year, but looking good. Then number 4, we got 68th annual Iowa State University Shade Tree Short Course. That was a course that our staff went to. It's a course in Ames. It takes place on Iowa State campus. It's kind of a half convention, half kind of continuing ed kind of a thing. You can sign up for classes. It ranges anything from proper mulching to pruning to new things coming on the market as terms of pests and how to control pests. Just it's kind of a gathering of like-minded people. So it's a really good place to network. And I think a lot of our staff like that. Like one of the classes we had taken, it's called Be on Tree Time. And what the whole point of that is that when you plant a tree, we do nasty, mean things to it. We grow it in the ground, we dig it up, we move it, we put it back down. Trees take some time to respond to that. So you could dig up a tree, put it in the ground, and everything could be perfect and it'd be good for a year and a half, 2 years, and all of a sudden it just poof, says I'm done. So we got to think about what we're doing to our root systems and I guess other techniques on how to transplant, trees in particular. But yeah, it was a pretty cool course. So, and yeah, I don't have on that.
Moving on, we are going to celebrate. North River is going to celebrate Arbor Day the same time that the rest of America does. So that is on April 26th, the last Friday of April. It's annual, so we have to proclaim an Arbor Day. They'll have to read it at a council meeting, which reminds me I need to get that submitted. So that's a requirement for Tree City USA requirement. So does anyone else have any other items that you would like to talk about on trees? Any topics?
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned pests and it reminded me of the that kind of Japanese beetle, is it? That's kind of the greenish, shiny one. Have we seen? Because that used to like do a lot of damage to the linden trees, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
the Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't seen as much of that. I
Yeah,
didn't
we
know.
haven't seen a whole lot in the past couple years. So a lot of times those populations they go up and down, and we're definitely on a down slope. I haven't really seen it come a whole lot up. So yeah, as far as damage is concerned, it's all your fruiting trees, your linden, your crabapple. They kind of like those your soft wooded kind of trees. But yeah, they haven't really seen much, honestly, which is
Good.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is there something going around that's starting to cause like needle cast of like blue spruces? 'Cause ours doesn't look very pretty all of a sudden.
Right.
I'm like, whoa.
Rhizophora needlecast is probably one of the most commons. It's a fungus, is what that is.
Branches touch the ground.
No,
No,
Okay.
well, that
And
helps.
that one,
but
it
it's
grew-
right next to my linden. So.
Yeah, that disease, it kind of goes from bottom up, center out. Is that like the death, of your spruce?
Okay.
But yeah, it's a fungus. There are some fungicides out there that will take care of that.
Is there anything else that would cause this stuff to brown?
Is it just
I
on
mean-
the bottom, or is it all the way through? Starting to go.
Not all the way
That's a
through on the
pretty-
side that actually gets sun, but it's thinner now throughout the
Okay.
entire thing. I guess is
I mean, we going back to we're on tree time. Did have some pretty hot summers here recently, so it could be reacting to that because trees are usually behind on the seasons.
They're delayed.
Yeah, they're very delayed. So hot summer last summer, they're not
Well, it's
a whole
always
moisture.
been
It could be stressed
beautiful,
now.
and
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
all of a
And that's
sudden-
that tree time that
Yeah.
I spoke about in our class where it's like it just one day, nope, I'm done. So which stinks, but
I know.
So for that particular problem, would it have helped since it was so hot and very dry? Would it have helped if residents would water the trees?
I mean, yeah, anything you can do, whatever's in your budget. I know watering can get very expensive, especially when you get into like your really big trees where, a 20-inch tree could easily take 50 gallons, like no problem. And that's gonna raise your water bill for sure. But yeah, you can definitely water around the base, around the drip line. So if you got a big tree up here, it's the edges that come down. It's typically where you want to water. So.
Is my spruce gonna die?
Without seeing it, I don't know.
Should have taken
but,
a picture before I came here.
But yeah, Rhizophora, it's
I
one
mean,
of those
I'm
ones.
assuming that's
yeah,
kinda what it
if it
is.
is
Could be.
that, then
Because I know we had it on like some of our.
it
pines.
spreads from one to the next
Yeah.
to the next. To
And
okay,
this is the
then
only blue spruce looking thing that we have.
okay,
So.
yeah, it could be. Trying to think of any other conifer diseases off the top of my head.
We have that apple rust one.
Cedar apple rust.
Yeah, we have
Yep.
that on
Yeah, that's a double host plant thing. So yeah, though that usually doesn't kill
No.
anything. It's just unsightly. Yeah.
Alien
Yeah, it looks like a little
balls.
blob.
Yeah.
Yeah, little tentacles coming off
Mhm.
the fruit there. Yeah.
Brian, you mentioned that the ash tree removal process you're holding strong. Is it due to the treatment that's being done to the trees? We're seeing less of an effect, or it hasn't been ash tree season yet?
I would think it's a good question. I think our treatments are doing most of the work. I'm still seeing some damage on our healthy ash trees, which tells me there's still high populations that are coming after us. And like I've said in previous meetings, we're we're the few spots in the city that have like pretty good healthy ash trees, so we're kind of the target for that insect. But we're holding on, I guess, and
We're giving it our best shot.
yeah, we're giving our best shot. I'd rather do something than
Yeah.
nothing and just leave everything to its demise. So, hope that kind of answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough
yes,
one.
it does. Thank you.
It could get very expensive depending on
Yeah.
how bad you want to keep a tree.
Right, and once you start, you keep going.
Go
Once you stop, then
It's
kind
older.
of you're kind of done. You're wasted all that time. So.
Yeah.
If nothing else, I feel like you guys are staggering the plantings that
Yeah.
are needed. If you
That
can
is
even
true.
delay it, 5 years or whatever, at least.
Yeah, and
not all at once.
that's the goal. Is hopefully our population moves on, and you're left with very low
Healthy
population, and you still have some healthy trees left. You're going to take damage regardless because they have to feed on that tree in order to get that product in and get them. So
All good on the trees?
Mhm.
All right. All right. Go ahead. I guess it's your turn.
Yep. So next item is the Muddy Creek and Trail cleanup from April 6th.
Yep.
I know Bilo was there and handing out some garbage bags. I didn't get a chance to see a whole bunch of others, but I'm sure I know the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts were there.
Yep. Now, if you guys want to report on it, I unfortunately was not able to make it. So if you have anything to say, only thing I'd have to say, I really appreciate all the volunteer people. It makes light work of a lot of work. So it's very much appreciated of all the volunteer group that help out.
Bilo, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I didn't catch the troop number that helped out, but I recognized a few folks from the Tiffin area. So a lot of young, young citizens participating, a lot of kids participating. It's really cool to see that kind of instill in them early on, taking care of nature, and I guess it kind of goes along with the Scouts pledge. But very much appreciated. And yeah, it was a pretty good turnout at 9 o'clock. Started handing out bags, and I think we left around 10:30ish, and the people were still going at it. So very much appreciated, and thank you to the Cub Scout for their effort.
Yeah, I have to put one out for Greencastle Clover Kids, I think it is, the 4-H club. They were there also.
Any idea how much we got out of there this year?
It's quite a bit, more than normal. I don't know if it was like 7 or I don't know. It was
I don't
way
remember
more
the
than we normally
official
get.
number, but
Yeah.
quite a few loads, I think.
I know Brian Wason of City Council. He was there also, and I heard him report at the council meeting this week that there was a lot more trash than normal. So, but it is definitely a good thing to do every year before we get the plant growth and you can't see it. And so,
Do you know why it was so bad this year?
it could have been it could have been the snow. I just don't know. It goes from year to year. It can change.
People are terrible. That's what.
Yeah.
Some people.
Some people, yes.
I think one of the things I noticed too is some of the water flow. You can tell the water flow got pretty high. I don't know if the big snowstorm that we got, when it melted, it carried over a lot of trash from the surrounding area. But there was a lot of I don't know what the right term it is for when water flows and it kind of collects garbage and gets stuck on the branches. It was pretty high. So maybe we got a lot more stuff from surrounding area got pulled into the stream there.
Could be. Thanks, Bila.
On a side note of that, there were a couple of dead animals in the creek. Is there anything to do with those? I mean, let nature take its course, but just it was a little smelly in that area. I didn't know if we had a way of means of doing anything with that. Or?
If it's beyond, we'll
Yeah.
just leave it.
Just leave it,
But normally, if something's hit on the road or something that we can pick up and take away, we will. But if it's to the point where it's
These
almost
were
gone,
Yeah.
that you just
Disintegrates as you're
Yeah.
picking it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we'll leave it be.
Or it blows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Next item, stormwater report. Over to Mike.
Yep. So we started with the Middle Iowa Watershed Management Authority. We have a technical advisory committee that's been meeting with consultants to hire one of them. Had a couple interviews last week. They went really well. We've got it pretty much narrowed down. I'll wait to let you know who that is until we get some signed paperwork and contracts and stuff. But we've got one picked out that's going to do a really good job for us, and be able to help push us forward and come up with some good ideas. So we're pretty excited about that. And once we get the contracts and everything signed, I believe that will need to go through city council also to approve those. So then we can get moving forward and get them started on the project right away. And that basically what they'll do is, they'll come up with essentially like a marketing campaign. You could call it a logo and stuff like that. And they'll do a lot of reaching out to people within the watershed, get them involved, and do a lot of the planning efforts for that. And hopefully have a good turnaround with all that, get some projects implemented out in the country and some in the cities too to help with water quality. Let's see, the Goose Lake, this will kind of go, 2 and 3 will kind of go together. Goose Lake wetland area, I did some mowing out there last year. I have a little bit more I want to get to maybe even this week before the vegetation gets tall. There's still some dogwood and stuff I want to get mowed out of there while it's wide open. And it's wide open because on Goose Lake, we actually burned that on March 21st. It was a pretty big area. I haven't actually measured it, but it's probably, we'll just say 12 to 15 acres maybe, I bet we burned.
Yeah.
And that had essentially never been touched since it was constructed. So that really needed a good burn. And that helped knock down a lot of vegetation and a lot of invasives that we'll probably be battling for years, but this is a good start on that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest burn we've done to date, and it ended up, I think, very well.
Yeah.
We had the fire department was out there, and I think most of your staff was there, right?
Mhm.
So we had,
If you go to your informational packet, there are pictures of the prairie burn.
and it was good. The weather conditions were great. We had some good wind, blew it over the interstate. Hopefully nobody crashed.
Just
Yeah.
And then on March 12th, before that one, we did Centennial Park, which is also another
Very end.
just beautiful day. We probably should have did on both that day, but the winds were predicted to get real high in the
Mhm.
afternoon, so we didn't do the Goose Lake one.
We didn't want to chance it.
Yeah, even though it ended up being probably like a perfect day for it. But Centennial Park, it's starting to grow back pretty good. I went in there this week. It'll come back a little bit slower than Goose Lake, I think mostly because that is pretty much 100% native vegetation in there. The stuff at Goose Lake was pretty much solely invasive. That's going to grow super fast and come back. And hopefully we'll get a handle on that before I retire. But it went well, and we hope to continue that.
Yeah.
I know Centennial Park will have to take a break for a bit due to the expansion in the park, but this Goose Lake, I'd like to burn that regularly.
are you going to do it annually for a while and then?
Too.
Yeah.
Another one we'd like to try would be Marley Park. That's over there off of Scales Bend, not Scales Bend, off of Kansas and
Yeah.
St.
Oh.
Andrews Drive,
Okay.
Right next to Green State.
Green State. Yeah.
Yep, burn around that pond. That would be a great one
That
too.
one's gonna be tricky though, when just the location.
Yeah. Just the wind. We really have to watch the wind, not so much from the fire spreading, but more smoke control. We don't want to smoke out whole neighborhoods. Because when you burn prairie, the smoke is pretty thick when it comes off of there. So it would, we don't want that blowing directly into like Green State or the community to the east there. So that one will be a little trickier. And when it comes down to that, it's almost kind of one of those in the morning you decide if you're doing it or not type
Exactly.
thing. So hopefully we'll just be on the ready. But I think that's about all I have. If you guys have any other questions.
How about the trout release?
Oh,
I was
yeah.
Just looking at that.
Bring my
You gotta
E
move
back
that
where it
down there,
belongs. There's pictures of that too.
Yeah.
Big
That's
trout.
really-
Yeah. This is the first year they put it in a few big ones.
Oh,
And
okay.
obviously someone caught one. But anyway, the DNR comes in twice a year, spring and fall. We just got our spring release. Fishermen are all lined up in the bank, and
I
they're,
see that.
they're fishing. So, yeah, it's a pretty good partnership. It brings a lot of people from all over. I mean, I get call them from Mount Pleasant, Cedar Rapids. I mean, all over Iowa, people are coming to fish our pond. But it's a good partnership.
Mike, I did have a question for you with some legislation that I had seen. A couple of things. One is, I think some, I don't know if I want to call them limitations, but I'll call them that, on the watershed management. It seemed like there was something that had come up with that.
Yep, that one I'm not extremely familiar with. I know they're talking about changing the name. They're wanting to get rid of the title management authority has always been kind of a topic because the word authority is in there. We actually have no authority over anything. I don't know why it started to be named that way. That's just how they came up with it in the beginning. So I know they're looking to change the name of it, which, you know, I don't know enough details to really get into that. I know it one effect it will have on current watershed management authorities is, you know, that's on their signs, that's on their logos, that's on all of their stuff. So, you know, all of that will need to be changed eventually, which comes at a cost. And these watershed management authorities, you know, we work on extremely limited budgets. There really is no extra money for anything. So that will be one thing. And then there's a lot more in there that I'm not going to go into just because I'm not that familiar with it.
Yep, that's fair. The other one that is probably more prevalent, or more relevant, I should say, to us is the stormwater
Yeah.
restrictions,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that local municipalities cannot have a more restrictive. How does that impact what we're doing here?
Well, we're still discussing that. It hasn't been passed yet. So we're having internal talks on that. You know, there's how it's going to actually affect us with the language in that, and then, you know, the cost that comes to that, and really it's going to come down to the effect it's going to have on the population when it's if it gets passed and all said and done. You know, are we going to then be dealing with more localized flooding? You know, which we will, which is going to come at, you know, a cost to the public. It's going to cost more for us to go out and deal with this stuff, clean up, flooding. You know, hopefully we'll get into where this isn't, hopefully is not going to affect private property, personal property, as in flooding basements and stuff. We have other factors in line to help keep that from happening. But really it just comes down to they're going to limit the size of detention, essentially, is how it will affect North Liberty, because we do most of our management through detention, dry basins or wet basins. So they'll limit the size of those so they can get more buildable lots. You know, is the way I look at this. That's their main goal, is to get more buildable lots. And that's what's going up there. So, you know, if and when that gets passed, we're going to have internal discussions about, we'll have to reword our ordinances, and how we are going to use stormwater funding to possibly intervene with what needs to happen and should happen within the city level to really keep our streets from flooding and keep the water quality the way it should be. So until that passes, you know, I can't comment on how we're going to attack that, but we are talking with our engineers and legal team on what we need to do if it passes. And so there'll be more on that if the governor signs the bill. So
Any other stormwater questions?
I would say it's some of the grasses are growing out there, so grass clippings, reminder, keep them pretty much sorry, keep them on use it as a compost when going on instead of on more than onto the street for safety reasons and also for stormwater quality reasons as well. Just reminders to everyone.
That's a very good point.
Good reminder, yeah.
That grass in the street is just like putting fertilizer right into the water supply and into a pond, which creates algae blooms and sorts of other things.
All right, on to the next item is old business. If there's any old business to discuss. And nothing with old business, so new business. I know we brought up a few things along the way here, but
I think Doris may have something to talk about. We didn't get it on the agenda in time.
Thank you. I did attend a luncheon, and it was very interesting about urban and community forestry. And there were people from all over the state, and they had some great speakers. A woman who was 30 years in the city of Chicago, and she talked about some of the ways that they partnered with different companies, got grants, et cetera, for additional trees. And I found that very interesting. And I thought, boy, wouldn't it be great if we could expand what we're doing potentially here, whether that be through grants or whatever. Also thought about Cedar Rapids has a residential tree program. Now, because of the derecho, they have gotten federal funding and I think some funding from Trees Forever as well. Trees Forever representative was there, so I did get his contact information because I thought even if we can't get something this year, it'd be nice to look into if there are more possibilities for even like a residential tree program like Cedar Rapids has, where whether the city would plant those trees, I'm not sure exactly how that works, or if residents just have access. I know it says trees are available to purchase. It's a partnership between the City of Cedar Rapids Forestry Division and the Iowa DNR. So those are some possibilities that I think I'd like to see if we could explore.
We've had it here a few times, so they move it around. So obviously Cedar Rapids is within that, doing that right now. I would bet that we'd be asked to do it here in the future.
That would be great.
Same program. Yep.
And I think they had that same trees last year because I have a relatively new lot and I'd love to put some more trees up.
Yeah.
And they had like quaking aspen trees. And I thought, oh man, I'd love to have some of them. They're a beautiful tree.
Yep. I can just imagine they're probably concentrating on Cedar Rapids because Cedar Rapids was hit so hard.
Right.
So
I think they lost like 70% of their trees. So, and trees are so important to the community and better quality. Even they feel like there's less crime if you have a more beautiful city with lots of trees. So it'd be great to support that. I also, one other thing that I did want to mention too is I was previously lived in the Dubuque area and they have an arboretum and botanical garden. And man, I'd love to have one of those here. It is such a beautiful space. It is all done, excuse me, all the work that's done there is really from volunteers. So the Dubuque Garden Club, it was a men's garden club, excuse me, in the early 1990s when a farmer gifted a piece of land, 47 acres, and it developed from basically just grass and hillsides and a few trees into this wonderful space for families to go. Weddings are held there. They have music in the park. They have a band shelter, I think that's what you call it. And they have music where people can come and bring drinks or whatever and just listen to music in the park. So it's just a wonderful facility. They have rose garden, and my son is actually getting married up there next month. So it's a great venue. It's not terribly expensive. It's something, again, that it's all volunteers take care of this place. So, you know, I'm hopeful that there are enough people that are interested in gardening, flowers, trees, shrubs, et cetera, that maybe we could get something like that going here.
thank you.
Any other new business from anyone? All right. So our next meeting will be July 10th, 2024
At the new council chambers.
at the new council chambers. All right.
At the new council
7
chambers.
p.m. We'll get to,
New City Hall.
Is there going to be like a grand opening?
Yeah,
Okay.
they will. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but yeah.
when is it?
Exciting.
I think they have an open house coming up on it's coming right up in May, middle of May or something like that. But I'm sure they'll let people know.
It's a beautiful building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look forward to having the next meeting there. That'll wrap up our night. So if I get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All
I beat you.
right. We'll make Bila the second there. He was a little bit behind. So I'm going to gavel out since I don't get to do this every time. All right.
Thank you.